Jesus show. We're here. I know people are like, why does your screen look like that? Why are you so small, Jesus? Well, because it's the Steven Jesus show, so they're making me be on the small screen. This guy's on the big
Yes,
screen. And hey,
as always.
listen, producers, I get it. It's already done. But next week, can we get a more leveled screen and a more even screen? There's a gap
No,
right
no,
in
no.
between. Oh, wait, no, no, no. There's a
They
gap.
want to see my pretty face.
There's a
They want to see my pretty
there's a
face.
gap between you and me and the Sport and Debate logo. What is that about? What is that about? I don't get it. Let's get right to it. We have a lot
This
of
is what they care about right here.
yeah, man. We have a lot of fantasy to talk about. Let's get right to it. Listen, we had really good weeks last week. We told you guys about Arian Foster. Hopefully you listened. Go.
I want to say something. I don't like your video, man. That was unnecessary, okay? We brought the boss on. The boss had some
I
opinions. Yeah, they
know.
were a little
I
shaky.
know. I
They were
know.
a little shaky, but come on. Come on, man. You got to come out with a video for the video. I don't like that. I'm talking to the producers about that. That's definitely happening.
I know. I trust me. I definitely got. They definitely ripped into me a little bit about that. But listen, I had to respond. I had to do it. Why is the Sport and Debate logo bigger than us? I don't get that. Well, they do. Listen, you know what? Without them, we don't have a show. Let's get right to
Exactly,
it.
exactly.
Let's get right to it. We got a lot of topics to talk about today. First and foremost, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get into quarterbacks. What is your top three quarterbacks for this week?
Now, I want to give a stat to everybody out there, and it's off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure this is accurate because every time the Patriots come off a bye, somehow miraculously this stat comes up, and that is that Bill Belichick, I believe, is an absurd amount. I believe I want to say like 24 or 25 and 0. It's something crazy coming off bye weeks. So for a quarterback, you got to play Patriots all day because this is going to be a blowout. Tom Brady, number one, against the Dallas Cowboys. You have to go big on him. He's going to put up a sick amount of points. Number two, number two, I think you got to go Matt Ryan against Washington. Matt Ryan is going to light him up. I know people are like, but Steve, that running back, he sniped me. I have Julio Jones and he caused a dip. Do not worry. There's nothing to be concerned about. They're gonna attack in the air. Julio Jones is gonna get his points, and you got to put my man Matt Ryan up in that top three. And then thirdly, that's right, you got to put in Mr. Aaron Rodgers. He's been there number one for a reason. Aaron Rodgers has to be in your top three. My friend, who do you have?
This is
I'm interested.
Listen, and I can honestly tell you guys, we did not speak to each other at all today.
We did not.
Normally have our meeting
did
prior to
not.
the show. We did not. I have it written down here exactly the way he has it. Tom Brady one
Oh.
against Dallas, Matt Ryan two against Washington, Aaron Rodgers three against St. Louis. What? I don't understand. Listen, I ripped him
You're
last
finally
week,
catching on.
but sometimes this guy does speak. Sometimes he speaks some good stuff. Sometimes. That's the key word. Sometimes.
Finally catching up to me.
Now, let's go ahead and let's jump into the next one, okay? We're going to go to the top three running backs. What you got?
All right, now I know we're gonna differ on this. I'm almost 100% confident, but my number guy that you got to put up in there is my guy Jamal Charles. Jamal Charles has been beasting. You have got to put him number one against that Chicago defense. If you got Jamal Charles, you're cheesing. You are cheesing to the bank come Sunday because you know you're gonna hit probably a good 17 to 20 points. Okay.
Okay.
Number two, my main man, Le'Veon Bell. He is back for a reason. He is back with a vengeance. And he gets that nice San Diego D that is 31st against opposing running backs. So Le'Veon Bell's definitely got to be the guy right after that. And then number three, you got to go with my man, and I'm gonna go a little bit different on here, and I know a lot of people are gonna be like, "Well, Steve, are you really? You're gonna go with that guy? 3 weeks ago, you kind of dogged him. Now you want to go with him
Uh
now?
oh.
I'm sorry, but you got to look at Justin Forsett against that Cleveland defense. I think it's a good matchup. I think it's an opportunity for Forsett to get double-digit points, and I think he could sneak one away. I put him in there in third based on the matchup alone. My friend, who do you have?
This is crazy.
Are you
This is
serious?
crazy. My number
Stop
one
it.
running back is Jamal Charles against Chicago. Hands down, Jamal Charles against Chicago. That is a beautiful matchup, okay? Number 2, I got Le'Veon Bell against San Diego. And
You're
then
copying me now. You took my notes.
and then lastly, we're going to go ahead, and this is where we finally differ.
Okay,
I'm
good,
actually going to
good.
go with Eddie Lacy against St. Louis.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. I like that.
Now, one of the biggest misconceptions that we have out there right now is how great this defense is for St. Louis. They're not that great.
No, they're not. No.
Fact. Here's a stat for you guys. St. Louis is currently 27th against the run with fantasy backs. 27th against the run against fantasy backs. Yeah. That's why I'm actually going to go with Eddie Lacy. That's a beautiful stat. I also have Eddie Lacy in my fantasy team. Kind of need him this week. Kind of need him.
Some favoritism.
Listen, Green Bay, give the guy the ball. He's your best player. Give him the ball.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's jump to the next one. Wide receivers, what you got?
All right, wide receivers. I've been preaching, you Julio Jones lovers. I know Stevie's questionable. They went to Devontae Freeman a lot last week. He's been scoring massive amount of touchdowns. I'm concerned. I'm a Julio Jones fan, and I'm concerned. This guy here, not concerned at all. You put him number 1 on your board, and you play him with a smile on your face, because that man's going to get you 20 points this week against that horrible Washington defense. All right? Number 2, OBJ. Odell Beckham Jr., my main man, pots and pans. I really think
That's
he
my
has a
saying.
very, yeah, it is your saying. He is in a really prime position to pick up a lot of points. He's playing against a San Francisco D that is susceptible of long plays. I think Odell Beckham Jr. will definitely get one. And then my number 3 guy, we've been talking about, we put Aaron Rodgers in there. You have Eddie Lacy in there. We just talked about St. Louis is overrated. You got to put Randall Cobb back in that mix. I think Randall Cobb is that number 3 guy. He's going to be the counterpart to the Aaron Rodgers. It'll still continue on, and that's my top 3.
All right, finally, we're going to differ quite a bit here. Now, number 1, obviously, is Julio Jones against Washington. He didn't get the work last week. He's going to get the work this week. It's not going to happen 2 weeks in a row.
Exactly.
And that Washington secondary is atrocious. Secondly, Steve, you finally sold me on this guy. I mean, I must admit, it took you a
Keenan
long
Allen?
time. It
Keenan
took you
Allen?
a long time. But number 2, give me Keenan Allen in Pittsburgh. Whether it's PPR, whether it's regular standard, the man
finally
is an
did it.
absolute
I finally did
stud.
it.
You also add the fact that Antonio Gates is returning this week. You also add the fact that Stevie Johnson isn't 100%. You also add the fact that Melvin Gordon isn't running the ball well. You also add the fact that Phillip Rivers is a monster all of a sudden again. Yeah, give me Keenan Allen at number 2. He's going to ball out against that Pittsburgh secondary. That Pittsburgh secondary is not a good secondary at all. And then number 3, and you know what? This has a soft spot in my heart right now because I ripped this guy last week for being on the show, but he has this guy on his fantasy team. So Jeff, this goes to you, my man.
Oh,
Give me
man.
Emmanuel Sanders against Oakland. I think
Okay.
Emmanuel Sanders is going to play very, very well. They didn't give him many targets last week. He didn't have many opportunities. Oh, Peyton's going to make sure he gets opportunities. The problem with Peyton is Peyton's just missing his guys. He's overthrowing people. But Sanders, you just throw a short pass, let him do the work. He's that type of receiver. What
Yep.
you got for tight ends?
All right, tight ends. This is tough because no, it's not tough. I'm sorry. And I wanted to say something to kind of make everybody feel better. I know you guys who have Olsen. You know, it's your turn now. We had Gronk last week, so
Exactly.
but number 1, obviously, it's Gronk. You got to put him number 1. He's been a beast. He'll continue to be a beast, and we'll continue to put him 1 as long as we talk about tight ends. Number 2, Give me Travis Kelce. I like Travis Kelce for Kansas City. He's scoring on average about 9.8. It's a big drop off after Gronkowski, but out of the litter that you have to pick, give me Kelce number 2 and number 3. This one's tough, but I gotta steal this one out of my man's playbook on the other side of the screen. He kind of sold me on this guy last week. I was kind of susceptible. I'm like, why are you getting this guy? But I think you got to go with Charles Clay, number 3. I think he's the guy. I know I sniped him from you. But number 3, give me Charles Clay.
Listen, I promise you guys, we did not speak today. It's not exactly the same, but the 3 players are the exact same. That's for sure. Same. Give me Gronk 1 against Dallas. Number 2, I'm actually taking Charles Clay, number 2. Here's the reason why I'm taking Clay, number 2. He's getting all the targets. He's getting all the targets. And if it wasn't for a dumb penalty by Richie Incognito last week, he would have had a 30-yard touchdown to go on top of his 11 fantasy points in a standard league. Right. You also had the fact that he's going against Tennessee. Here's another stat for you. I'm full of stats this week, people. Tennessee is number 28th against fantasy tight ends this year. Give me Charles Clay all day. And then I'm going to take Travis Kelce against Chicago. Steve, you can pass against Chicago. I can pass against Chicago. So Kelce will get chances, and he will get it done. What do you got for defenses? This is your thing.
Defense is my specialty. All right, number 1, I'm going to go a little bit different here. Buy the Bills' defense. Buy and buy big, because now they finally get a rookie quarterback, and they are going to destroy him, in my honest opinion. I think this is one where you can get some serious points if you have the Bills. And if they're out there for whatever reason, you pick them up, you play the Bills, and you feel pretty confident about that. Number 2, gotta go with those Cardinals against the Detroit Lions. And I know you got Steve. You said the Seahawks last time, and the Seahawks, let's be honest, they didn't. They went short, and I did put them at number 3, kind of a slash with number 4. But I think the Cardinals, they are going to be able to stop these guys. They have, the corners that can boot, that can get some turnovers from Stafford. Stafford went no interceptions last time. That's not going to happen. He's going to throw a pick. All right, That's going to happen. So book it. Put Cardinals into your lineup, and then number 3. This one, kind of going down a little bit deep. A lot of people are going to be like, really? But I'm going to go with the Giants D against San Francisco, and here's why. The San Francisco has to travel to New York. That plays an effect. People have to realize. Number 2, the San Francisco D is dead last. Or not their D, but their offense. Dead last in giving fantasy points up to opposing defenses. I think if you have the Giants out there, and I'm pretty sure because they're available in a lot of leagues right now, you pick up the Giants D and you play them, I think you could get some serious points there.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. But here's what it really is, okay? Give me Denver, number 1, against Oakland. Denver, have you seen that fantasy defense this year? They are going nuts. Absolutely nuts. And they're going against Oakland? Yeah, give me Denver's defense. Give me them all day. Next up, I'm going to go with Giants against San Francisco. You have to do that. Kaepernick loves to turn the ball over. Giants, believe it or not, are an amazing defense when it comes to turnovers. They get the turnovers. They force them, and they're really good at that. And then lastly, I'm going to take the Ravens going against Cleveland. Cleveland offense looked pretty good last week. It's not going to look good again this week. It's not. Yeah. Josh McCown is not going to look good 2 weeks in a row. Doesn't happen. Give me the Ravens at number 3.
Wow, I'm surprised no Bills. I really am. I'm shocked.
Here's why. The Bills are not good when it comes to mobile quarterbacks, and Mariota is a very, very mobile quarterback. How are they going to keep him? If this was Winston, give me it all day. And I'm sorry, it's not a personal attack, but it's just Winston stays in the pocket more than Mariota does. But I still think the Bills will be a good defense. They top 5 to me, but I couldn't put them top 3 just because I don't think they're going to get the sacks that you would expect from them. That's my biggest thing here. Okay? So, all right. Next, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take it to the commercial break, and then we'll be right back. Here's a word from Sport and Debate to answer some of your fantasy questions.
Debate is more than just a website or a podcast to me. It's a platform for all fans, from the diehard to the casual, to come together and embrace their love and their passion for sports. And I think that's what separates us from the rest. We love that passion, and we're ready to embrace the debate.
What's been the biggest issue with that Bills defense that you've noticed going forward with them? Like that's because I see that you're pumping them up big time, but why haven't they been able to stop these defenses and offenses from scoring? Like I'm confused with that. Before we get into the questions, I was just curious on that.
On the Bills?
Yeah, on the Bills side.
So I'm sorry because you cut out a little bit. What was the entire question?
You have the Bills as a top defense this week. What's going on with Rex Ryan? Why hasn't he been able to have them as a dominant defense as we expected? Because this was a dominant defense last year.
Yeah, no, yeah, I see your point. They're not there. I don't know if it's scheme or if maybe it's just first year and the players are not really gelling into the system. It could be a combination of multiple things. I still believe in what he's able to do, and I think by the second year they'll be a much better defense. I honestly think it's just the growing pains because this defense was a good defense last year, and they still are. But scheme is scheme, and when you're learning a completely new scheme and different teaching, different coaches coming in, I don't care who it is, there's a learning curve. And I think honestly with the Bills, that's what you're seeing is that learning curve.
True. All right. Well, you know what? I hope that they turn it around just because me personally, I'm a Rex Ryan fan. I absolutely am a Rex Ryan fan. So this week, we're going to go ahead and we're going to answer some of these questions from our fantasy fans, okay? Now, the first question we have here comes from a follower, the man, one. It's okay. Who should I start at receiver this week? Michael Crabtree or Calvin Johnson?
This isn't tough because at the end of the day, Calvin Johnson is still a much more talented receiver than Crabtree. And I know Crabtree is getting the looks and the targets, and I know people are getting frustrated with a Calvin Johnson. I just would still start Calvin Johnson because Calvin is still capable of breaking the 80-yard touchdown. He still has it. My biggest problem with the Lions is always and will be Matthew Stafford.
Exactly. That's exactly correct. I mean, you're going to go with Calvin Johnson. Anybody who watched that game against Seattle, the Seattle corners weren't stopping Calvin Johnson.
No.
Matthew Stafford was stopping Calvin Johnson. Cam Chancellor made Calvin Johnson fumble the ball, which wasn't a fumble. I just want to say, wasn't a fumble. But yeah, and I'm not. When I say it wasn't a fumble, obviously he did fumble it prior to, but you're not allowed to tap the ball out of bounds. Thus, meaning they should have gotten the ball at the 1-yard line. Shouldn't have been a recovery by Seattle. Just saying, fans. Just saying.
Yeah, just saying.
But yes, I'm taking Calvin Johnson. This shouldn't even be a question. Well, why? This is the problem with a lot of fantasy people is we overthink things. Play your studs.
Yeah.
You play your studs. Simple as that.
Play your studs.
Okay. Next up, what do you have here? This is from Fantasy Nerd 33. Who should I start at flex? Doug Martin or Terrence Williams?
I still go with Doug Martin, and here's why. Doug Martin has seen a bigger share of his workload increase. Now, I do realize that since week 1 and last week, those in-between games, he hasn't really done much of anything. But I also tell people when you have a Bucs player, especially a running back, if the Bucs get behind, they're going to abandon the run. That has always been the risk with owning a Bucs running back, and that will continue to be your risk moving forward. If Lovie Smith follows to the game plan, gives Doug Martin the ball, and it's close and it's a close game, you're going to be fine. He's worth the flex play. But there are going to be times where Doug Martin will only get 10 carries, 9 carries, and they get blown out 42-10. That's just who the Bucs are. So I still think you should stay with Doug Martin because if he gets the carries, he will get you the points. It just all depends on Jameis Winston and if he cannot turn over the ball and get him in the huge holes.
Okay. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I'm going to be very clear on this one. You give me Terrence Williams, okay? Terrence Williams is a very good player, and he's going against the Patriots. The Patriots are going to score a lot of points on Dallas. So if they're going to score a lot of points on Dallas, then you know what?
They're
Then
going to
that
throw.
means they're going to have to throw the ball. So give me Terrence Williams this week, not Doug Martin. I get what you're saying about Doug Martin. Makes a lot of sense. Next up, let's go ahead. And this one is a pretty good one, which we already kind of answered it, but we'll explain again why. Who should I start at tight end? Charles Clay or Jimmy Graham?
Oh, Charles Clay. I mean, Charles Clay right now because Charles Clay's getting the targets. He's showing the potential to break out, and that's who they're really targeting. Jimmy Graham just looks lost. I mean, it's been clear, and it's not just been clear from a fantasy standpoint. It's been clear. I mean, you go look at game tape. You watch the game and what analysts are saying about him and how he's being utilized, how he's being used to block when Jimmy Graham has never. He's been known to not block. He's not a blocker, yet you're putting him out there on blocking plays. They're just using Jimmy in all the wrong ways. And if you own Jimmy Graham, I mean, by default, yes, we have to put him top 3 most of the time because he's just the most talented guy.
Yep.
But you can't expect the Gronk type numbers anymore.
Nope.
It's just not there. He's not going to get it. And if you can get somebody who's willing to give you more for a Jimmy Graham, you sell. You sell him now because
ASAP.
You can find yourself a Kelsey. You can find yourself somebody else, and get the same points because he's just not getting it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and it's going to get better, but it's just going to take some time. He's learning. It's a new system. He has to learn it.
Yep.
Give me Charles Clay. He's going to get the targets. He's going to get the points. He's going to get the numbers. We're running low on time here. So next up, this is the last question here. Who should I start? This is actually from @GPrenzi32. Who should I start this week? Carlos Williams or Giovanni Bernard? This is easy, but go ahead.
Giovanni Bernard, in my honest opinion. I think Gio is, he's getting more of the workload. I mean, even though Hill did score like 2 touchdowns, I think I like Bernard just simply because I mean he'll get the carries. I know you're gonna probably go the other way, but I like Bernard honestly.
Okay, I'm actually not going to go the other way. I'm going to go with Bernard.
All
Why
right.
I'm going to go with Bernard actually is because Carlos Williams is dealing with he's on the concussion protocol. I don't even think he's going to play this week. Actually, Rex Ryan went on live today to say that he expects Boobie Dixon to get pretty much all the work this upcoming week on Sunday.
There you go.
Yeah, do not count on Carlos Williams. He's not going to get the burn. Let's go ahead. We're running out of time here. Sleepers. What are your sleepers for this week?
All right, so I have one deep sleeper. I think Brandon Cooks. I know a lot of guys are off selling him. You're probably getting bargain booth deals for Brandon Cooks right now because it is bad. I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
No,
it's bad.
You're not gonna jump on that bandwagon already.
Yeah,
Tell me you're not.
I'm going to jump back in on it on a guy who can blow up this week, and that's Brandon Cooks because he finally gets a decent matchup that is beneficial. If he does not, and I repeat, if he does not perform for you again this week, and I think this is a toss-up, easy matchup for them, you gotta sell. At this point, you gotta move on because this is by far the easiest matchup he has so far this year, and if he can't produce, it's time to cut ties.
Okay.
On the flip side, I'll give you somebody to be very low on, and I'm sorry, I know people love Devontae Freeman right now, and he is the number 1 back in fantasy. But he is not going to be that guy. I'm sorry. Put him low on your list. He's not going to get you the points. They will throw the ball. You got to hope that the same thing happens like last week, which I can highly doubt. Even though Washington's a bad team, I don't think they're going to blow them out that severely. And he's not going to get you 3 touchdowns.
I got lots of stats. I got lots of sleepers. Lots of overrated. Let me go with my sleepers first. Number 1, I'm going to go with Tyrod Taylor as my sleeper. Going against Tennessee. Tennessee's defense is horrible. Tyrod Taylor had a bad week last week. Everybody's like, oh, man, is this the real Tyrod Taylor? Relax. He's still a very good quarterback. Stick with him. He gets you rushing and passing yards.
Yep.
You got Carlos Williams out. LaShawn McCoy out. He only has Boobie Dixon. Yeah, you play Tyrod Taylor and you smile about it. I'm also going to go with TJ Yeldon against Tampa Bay. Fact, here's a statistic for you. Tampa Bay is number 23 against fantasy running backs against the run. You play TJ Yeldon. He gets his first touchdown this week as a rookie.
Nice.
And then lastly, Charles Clay. Nobody's talking about this guy. Stop ignoring the fact that the man's producing. He is producing.
And
So
wait,
yes,
let's time out. Can we really call that? Can we really
Yes.
call that?
Absolutely.
Up and coming. Like
yes, you know
he's
why?
There.
You know
He's
why?
There.
But do you know why? Because
'Cause
some
people
leagues
doubt him.
don't even have him as a top 10 this week.
Yeah, that's
Some
crazy.
leagues only have him ranked expected to get between 3 to 5 points. Fantasy
That's
points.
crazy. That's
No.
crazy.
And I'm telling you, these are big websites and big leagues. No. That's a guy you play. And that's what I go based on, just so people understand. Whenever I'm saying overrated, I look at what other leagues have them rated, where they're ranked. Then that's how I decide if that person should be considered a sleeper or not. My overrated, Devontae Freeman. Overrated this week because he's going against Washington.
Yep.
Fact, Washington is number 1 against fantasy running backs. Number 1.
Yep.
That's why he's not going to put up the big numbers this week. Also, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, you have to play him, obviously, but I don't expect much from him. He's going to get Devontae Davis treatment.
Yep.
Devontae Davis is gonna shadow him all over the field.
Yep.
I don't like that matchup. And then lastly, Calvin Johnson this week. Again, I'm not jumping off the Calvin Johnson bandwagon, but for this week, it's going to be rough again. I said it last week. I was right. I'll say it again this week. He is going to have a rough one because it's against Arizona. But if you look at his
it's a
schedule,
tough defense.
look at his schedule going forward. Then he gets
It's
teams
juicy.
like Chicago and Minnesota's.
And
It's
here's
gonna
the
be great.
thing, fans. If you can buy Calvin Lowe now, you do it. You do it if you can.
Yes. Bye. That's our show. That's what we got. We ran out of time. Went a little bit over time. Thank you, producers, for allowing us to. Next time, can I please be on a bigger screen? I'm just saying, I don't like being this tiny. I need some love too. I need some love too. Nobody wants to see this ugly mug like this in the big screen. That's our show. Everybody stay safe. Be safe. We out. Peace.